David Moyes is a man that will often speak in riddles. He's a straight-talking man, or at least he's got the reputation of one, but I do find here a lot of his messaging to be quite coded. A lot of subliminal stuff. He doesn't actually just come out and say it. And don't get me wrong, I get why. It's the whole thing with the fans was, these so-called experts. He didn't say fans, about lacking, some people lack football intelligence and, some people calling for changes in the team. I mean, he's fooling no one with who he's talking about when he speaks. And in the most recent podcast, as a lot of us, and myself, Gio included, felt... How bad is that, by the way, the most recent podcast? We felt he was discussing Maxwel Cornet. And it was quite clear. Did he name him? No. He didn't go as far as saying, oh, Maxie, baby. No, but he was clearly talking about Maxwel Cornet. What was he saying? Well, I paraphrase rather than getting the full transcript and whatnot. But he was talking about some players... like to go overseas. Some players, he was talking about West Ham having some really good medics, some really good doctors, some really good physios. Yet some players choose to go overseas to have their rehabilitation done. Now, there's only one player that fits that criteria, and it's Maxwel Cornet. During the same conversation, he was talking about finding it hard to communicate with players, get information from players because they're surrounded by loads of agents. And I guess you could consider it to be a generic dig at the modern day footballer, but again, you had to assume it was Maxwel Cornet. Yeah, you do get put two and two together and come up with 4 on this one, I think, because it was Maxwel Cornet that had gone to France to get treatment. He'd been gone for months. And then whenever David Moyes was asked in his press conferences what's happening with Maxwel Cornet, he would say, I don't know. He might be in France, I think. He might be back next week, I think. He very much gave the impression of somebody that wasn't in communication with Maxwel Cornet. And of course, in this instance, he's not come out and said that bloody Cornet, he keeps buggering off to France to get his treatment. I've not seen him in ages. He won't say that. But there was enough subliminal messaging for us to be able to put all the pieces together and know what he was talking about. Now, this is really important because I think if that's the case, David Moyes has probably got the ump. Probably quite unhappy with Maxwel Cornet. And I don't blame him. I really don't blame him. If we could just put aside for one moment that David Moyes probably shouldn't have signed him, that the warning signs were already there. We've already been through on this channel his injury record, how he tends to spend time on the sidelines for what you wouldn't consider to be one of the big injuries like the ACL or something like that. When you factor in that we already knew this information before he signed from Burnley, it was one of their main gripes that he would... They called him sick note. I mean, you can't really say much more than that. But once you accept that David Moyes actually signed this player and sort of hoped for the best and thought the best of it, I can understand why David Moyes would be unhappy with Maxwel Cornet going and having his treatment overseas, with him not communicating. Maybe with David Moyes when he wants to phone up and find out how Cornet's getting on with his treatment. Who's on the other end of the phone? It's his agent. Well, can I speak to Max, please? No, you can speak to me. I can understand how that would get annoying. That would bug me. So I don't blame him. What I do think is important, whatever annoyance he has, I think it's really important he doesn't hold a grudge right now for the benefit of himself and for the benefit of West Ham. Maxwel Cornet has now tweeted, I've not seen the tweet, Gio told me, we mentioned it when we were recording the preview, that Cornet's tweeted, or put on his Instagram, whatever it is, he's up for the fight, he's ready, I'm back, I'm ready for the fight. Great sentiments. Lovely, lovely sentiments. Great. I'm pleased he's back. I'm pleased he's up for the fight. I'm pleased that a West Ham player considers himself to be in a fight, because we are. Didn't see an awful lot of fight. Well, apart from Sue Fowler have a fight in an empty room, wouldn't he? Let's be fair. Apart from him, didn't see an awful lot of fight in the performance against Tottenham. So I like the messaging. I'm not so naive that I don't think it's it's a bit of a virtue signal in that sense, saying he's telling us what we want to hear. Virtue signal is the wrong word, but he's telling us what we want to hear. I get all that, but I think it's really, really important that David Moyes utilises him, because whatever it was that David Moyes saw in him, and I think we caught a glimpse of it in the game where he got injured against Wolves, when Cornet played first 26 minutes. I thought he was really good. I thought there was a point in one of the European games, can't remember which one, he was partnered up front with Skamaka. I thought he looked good. It's clearly, there's a player there that David Moyes has seen something in, and I think it's an area of weakness for us down that left-hand side. I don't think it's firing. Again, fired at the start of the season, not so much now. There will be a temptation from Moyes, and there are players in the past who you feel he's held a grudge against, and there's been no way back. And I don't just mean at West Ham either, by the way. And I think it's really important that he just lets it go. On this occasion, if he could well survive and if David Moyes keeps his job, I don't expect him to, but in the scenario David Moyes keeps his job, he could get to the summer, stay in the Premier League and then offload Cornet. But I think for now, you've got to incorporate him in the group. That's what they say, that's the word, isn't it? The group. Incorporate him into the group. Get him going, utilise him, get the very best out of him. And if it was initially that what David Moyes saw was, I don't know, in his mind's eye, this front three of Scamacca and Bowen and Cornet, and that's what he has to go with. Or whatever the role might have been for this player, he's got to see it through. He can't cut his nose off to spite his face and think, you know what, because that Maxwel Cornet kept on dealing with me through agents, because he didn't use the medics at Rush Green, because he went over to France, because I've basically not seen him since October, over 4 months, he's not getting back into my team. He's not committed to the cause. I don't think we're in that luxurious position. Now, I'm not suggesting that Cornet is ready for the Nottingham Forest game. I don't know. I don't know whether he is or whether he isn't. I don't know what his fitness levels are. But I do believe that Moyes has got to almost give everybody a clean slate now, because what he's got to do is he's got to look around, he's got to identify who is up for the fight. Maybe Cornet is, maybe he just said the words that we all wanted to hear. I don't know. But what I do know is, and you probably know what I'm going to say now, we are really lacking some pace in the team. And it's not just pace, it's direct running. It's taking that ball, knocking it into space and running for it, rather than doing a trick and doing a dribble and you know, maybe checking back and passing it backwards or whatever. Just run. Just go directly. You know, give it the full Forrest Gump is what I'm saying. And I think, you know, Cornet does that. And I'm annoyed with him as well. And ideally we wouldn't have signed him. It's not been a sign that's particularly worked out. I mean, well, he's done all right for his wages, Cornet, really, hasn't he? But now is not the time. Now is not the time for recriminations. Now is the time for getting him in there. And if what Moyes has seen is something that he feels is fundamental and vital to his style of play, they need to incorporate it and get him involved and forget about any grudges or anything like that. We very much know, because Moyes tells us, and you can see it with your own eyes, that a Gerd was vital to how Moyes wanted to play. Particularly on the counter-attack, he wanted to play a back three and he wanted there to be a creative hub in the back three. Basically, he didn't want 3 stoppers in there. He didn't want 3 Kurt Zoumas in there, not at all. That's why I used to play Aaron Cresswell in there, to give him a bit of creativity from that back three. Now, you've seen it in recent games. Not only can a Gerd play the long pass, not only can a Gerd carry the ball forward, but he's often reading the game well. And even though he is a defender, he can assist our attacking play. That's part of Moyes' vision. And if another part of Moyes' vision was Maxwel Cornet as maybe a vital cog in that, maybe Maxwel Cornet was the guy with a direct running that can get on behind the defence and latch on to some of the Gerd's passing. We don't know what the ultimate plan was. Paqueta, Scamacca, Cornet, what parts they collectively play in it. But whatever it is, it needs to be implemented now. At the start of the season, we heard that players weren't ready, that players were taking time to acclimatise. That doesn't matter anymore. He does not have the luxury of time. We're not playing Manchester City now. This is not a game where a point is going to be good enough. We've got to win, and he's going to have to use his attackers. He spent a lot of money on attackers. Paqueta, he's playing a midfield, playing as a number 8, but he is an attacking midfielder. His qualities are not, he's not there for his heading and his interceptions, is he? He's there for his skill and his final ball. Scamacca is an attacker. And you'd say the same with Cornet as well. He's brought these guys in, and of course Danny Ings latterly. If you're going to do that, then you want to see that come to fruition. You really want to see it done. And I just think with Maxwel Cornet, it's really important that Moyes doesn't think, well, OK, we'll ease him in gradually. I just don't think he's got the luxury of time. He's already started to do it with Danny Ings. There's a report, I can't even remember. It was someone screenshotted it and popped it up on WhatsApp, and it was a screenshot of a newspaper. It doesn't matter what it was. It was suggesting that Danny Ings was going to start. Danny Ings set for his first start under David Moyes against Nottingham Forest. Maybe true, maybe it isn't, don't know. But I feel that there's been a certain level of caution there. This is not someone that needs to acclimatise to the league. I understand he got a little knock in his first game, but come on. I mean, he's been playing. He scored goals for Aston Villa this season. He's not lacking match sharpness. He might have been Ollie Watkins at Aston Villa, who was the chosen one. But Ings has played, and Ings was ready. And just okay. I think if we don't see him now, it's going to start you have to start asking questions about that signing. But anyway, it's not so much about that. My point is, he doesn't have the luxury of time. So Paqueta's only missed one game. Get him in the team. Scamacca, he's back. All right, he might not be fully fit. Doesn't matter. You haven't got a luxury of choice. You need to try and start getting him in. Same with Cornet. Okay, now do I think Cornet's probably fit enough to start? I would imagine he's had no game time, but what you can't do is expect to put him on for 10 minutes, expect him to get fit. So maybe do something. You've got 5 substitutes now. It's not like the olden days, right, where you had one sub. So you'd have to start all your favourite players and then actually bring someone on in the end. You can actually start a player these days with the intention of just giving them 45 minutes. You've got 5 substitutes. Probably look to do that with Cornet. I think the start is more important than the finish in there. I know David Moyes sees it differently, which is keep it tight at the start and then finish strong. I don't think we do finish strong, firstly. But actually, there's a flip way of looking at that, and that is actually why don't we just start really, really quickly. Get those players on the pitch, and if you've decided that 2 of them have to come off at half-time, so be it. Bring 2 of them off at half-time. They've had their fitness, they've got some miles in the legs, so to speak, and you've still got 3 substitutions left. Don't see any problem with that at all. Most importantly, it is really good, and David Moyes does have a full squad to choose from. Is everybody as fit as everybody else? No, but nothing's ever going to be perfect. It's just not, is it? If I were David Moyes, I would play what he perceives to be his best team. And most importantly, if that includes Maxwel Cornet, don't hold it against him. It ain't great. He's not behaved impeccably, and it has not been a particularly good signing. But all I would say is, Moyes, do not cut your nose off to spite your face.